I started therapy. This is something that I've been doing for a few months. It's something that I really didn't want to talk about. And at first, I really wanted to keep it private as much as possible. But I was thinking about why. And I'd like to share that with you guys today with the hope that someone benefits from it. My mission, my goal is to impact as many people to live as healthy as possible in body and in mind. And if I'm not living up to that mission, then my work is really a waste. Now, I've been doing this for a few months, and I think the hardest thing for me to accept is that objectively everything in my life is going really well. I have more close friends than I've ever had. I have more meaningful work than I've ever had. I'm experiencing a resounding amount of success with strongman, a beautiful, healthy baby, a wife that I love, and still there's things in my life that I'm just not happy about. Sometimes I don't wake up in the morning with the energy and the vigor that I would like to. I don't operate day to day as happy as I want to be. And at times I have very dark moments. And the most frustrating bit for me is to me, I think, well, I'm doing absolutely everything I can to live a healthy, positive life in terms of mental health, but I'm not having the outcome in terms of feeling that I would want. Now, most days I am happy, most days I am excited, but I do have some substantial struggles, and this is something that I haven't shared with the channel much at all, and something I'm going to share more moving forward. And we have plans to for me to open up in the right forum, but from very difficult mental health times in the past, where questioning my purpose in the world and my existence, all the way up to just feeling a little bit down, feeling a little bit grouchy. And to be honest, that's the number one thing that happens. Is I just get in a plain old bad mood. Um, it's been a long time since I've been able to relate to people, and frankly, now I'm less relatable to the average person than I ever have been. But when I was younger and when I didn't accomplish what I've accomplished so far, the reason that I didn't relate to other people is because I just don't see the world the same way. And I think it's both a good thing and a bad thing. It's bad that I do constantly question my existence, my purpose, the reason that I exist. Why should my life be so good? Why should I just be given the genetic gifts to be able to win World's Strongest Man, to go on this incredible strongman run, to be able to talk to the camera and have people interested in following me and have all of the perks from life that brings. And who am I to get a little bit frustrated if I'm just trying to do my business in a store and someone's excited to just see me, the fact that I exist. A lot of people would think that this brings about a level of confidence and arrogance and just feeling like you're king of the world. But to me, I just start to feel indebted. I feel indebted because I don't feel like I've accomplished as a person what I'm returning, or what I'm getting returned back to me. I feel like in the equation of life, I've received way more than I've given. And the reason, to get back to why it's hard for me to relate to people, and the good side of this thing is I have thought about what is the purpose of life a lot. And I've thought about that through necessity because unfortunately I've had to come up with reasons. And the reasons for me boil down to my family, my relationships, my children, and then work and strongman and YouTube. That stuff all comes so far after. And when I talk about strongman not being the most important thing in the world to me, that's because of a product of these thoughts that I've had for a very long period of time. Now, the difficulty is I spend so much time on strongman, so much time with work, so much time away from home that I have this set of values, but sometimes I don't operate to that set of values. And in that, you have the desire to want to spend a lot of time with your family and to be present and to be there. But you spend so much time away with things that you're trying to say are less important, but you have to earn a living. And then when I'm with my family, I just have such an urge and such an anxiety to get tasks done. And I can only spend so much time in a conversation that I don't find is bettering me as a person or productive or um, meaningful in a way that's getting stuff done because I have so much on my plate that then I can't really fully enjoy my time that I spend with my family. And so I reached out for help. And the reasons that I thought that was a bad thing in a way I think it's almost like a medication is prescribed to someone who's physically unhealthy, and therapy is prescribed to someone who is mentally unhealthy. And this is a previous thought, but if you're getting prescribed, quote unquote, a medication or a service because you're mentally unhealthy, it's almost as though you need help just to operate in the world. You need help just to exist as everyone else is. You need a medication for your personality, so to speak. And whilst at the time I knew it was exactly what I needed to do because I was struggling and there was just nowhere I could go for educated help. It was a really hard thing to do. And as someone who looks at my whiteboard every day saying I want to impact the mental and physical well-being of as many people as possible, but I'm also ashamed of having to go off and get help from a stranger. And someone who knows nothing about my life is now going to try to help me with my life. It seems like a really difficult concept. But my opinions changed quite a bit. And I think my opinions only changed because I've gone through the process and I'm still going through the process. But if anyone out there is struggling with the concept of going to therapy, I want you to think of it this way. The conversations that you have are not necessarily going to be purely about how you can change as a human being. Sometimes it can be about the tasks that you can improve, the habits that you can improve, and sometimes it's just a sounding board that really has no outcome, positive or negative, but you just get it off your chest. Let's say, for example, you're close with your uncle and your uncle is really pissing you off, but all of your family loves your uncle. It's hard for you to go to someone in your family and talk about your uncle who's pissing you off in a really open and honest way and not have some sort of retribution, some sort of explanation on, well, your uncle's a good guy and you know this and you know that. And I think you're overreacting and blah, blah, blah. Just having someone from a no judgment place to be able to open up and speak to. And what I began to realize and was brought to light through these sessions is that I have this feeling in my head that I need to give back as much as possible to as many people as possible. And in that's what drives my daily habits. That's what drives the clothing brand. That's what drives the other businesses, drives my competing, drives everything so that I can give my family, my employees, my friends, all the life that they would like to have. But I never really make a consideration for what would be good for me. I go to a competition, I compete, I do meet and greets, I do my best to be present and help people and speak to people and give as much of myself to them as I possibly can. And I have people doing plenty of things for me as well. Ashley would be tip of that spear, but behind that is all of the promoters and the other athletes and all of you guys who consume the YouTube content and people who support the clothing brand and buy programs. And so I perceive that as I'm getting plenty back. I'm getting way more back, but I've never done anything purely for myself and my own happiness and my own mental health in the past 3 years, I would say. I can't really tell you a time that I can't tell you what I would do for leisure right now. I can't tell you what I would do if I just had a day completely to myself to enjoy myself. I've lost my ability to decipher a hobby that would make me happy or anything that I can do for me that would bring me joy. I get my joy through things that I do with other people, but it's a really big challenge if you can't be happy entirely by yourself. If you can't live with joy entirely by yourself. And I've found myself in that place a little bit. I work, I train, which is work. I make content, which is work. I compete, which is work. And all of that stuff I love, but there's never been an element where I back that off. And that's something that I'm working through and continuing to work through and to talk through. But if this video can impact one person and can help one person, and you can see me as someone who objectively has accomplished as much as I possibly could as a 28-year-old man, and I'm still having difficulty, uh, I hope that someone out there can see that if you're having difficulty, it's okay. It's okay to feel like you're not doing as much as you'd like. It's okay to feel unhappy regardless of your situation. The guilt around unhappiness is only going to perpetuate the problem. The one caveat I will put, and I think is a major problem in the world today, is mental health is a real thing. But mental health is sometimes indicative of the situation you've put yourself in. The first question that I think anyone with a mental health problem should ask is, does my life cause me to have bad mental health? Are you in your parents' basement, unfit, not moving, you don't have a job, you're trying to figure things out, and your mental health is bad? That's a proper inbuilt mechanism that should be telling you that, because you need to accomplish something with your life. But for those people who are trying their best, are trying to put food on the table, are trying to be as present and as happy and give as much to other people as they can, albeit we're all imperfect, and that's okay. But if you're that person and you need a little bit of help, please go out and do it. Suicide rates, particularly for men, are through the roof and higher than ever. And they're actually highest when you're in your 30s and 40s, and they're highest for people who are affluent. This should tell you, it's not about accomplishment. It's not about age. It's not about figuring yourself out. It's not about being lost. It's about a genuine medical problem. And this quote unquote medical problem is invisible, which makes it hard to acknowledge. This quote unquote medical problem is something that can be solved much faster than many medical problems. I believe that reversing the signs of anxiety and depression can be faster for people than reversing type 2 diabetes, for example. But in order to do that, you need to get the help that's out there for you, from virtual therapy to in-person to groups to just opening up to a friend. And I'll leave it with this. I have some really good friends in my life, and I've considered that for a very long time. But suicidal ideation is something that I've struggled with for the better part of 15 years. And it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed because of my strongman accomplishments. It hasn't changed because of my relationships or a new house or a new car. It's the same. It's the same now as it was 10 years ago. And not a single one of my friends knew. And it hit me in a low moment that if I ever decided that day was the day and that it was going to happen, and I never shared that with my friends and the people who could help me, and they were at my funeral, what a tragedy it would be for them to think that if only they knew, what could they do? And at the time when I decided to open up to them and tell them, it's really only a couple of people in my life who know the full extent to what I'm talking about. But I made the decision to tell them exactly what was going on and exactly where I'm at, and that I need some help and I need some support. And it was a hard thing to do, but I thought of it at the time as almost doing my due diligence, that if I ever have a low moment that gets to a place that's irreversible, I've done everything I possibly can to help myself and to allow others to help me. For a long time, I would tick the box and I would speak about, I struggle. I struggle with my mental health sometimes, and that's where I would leave it. And I thought that I would be doing my job that way. I thought that I'd be inspiring people that way and helping people and helping you guys. You're not helping anyone doing that. It's such a wide spectrum. Saying I struggle could be I get frustrated when I'm out of Cheetos in the morning, Cheetos in the morning, Cheerios in the morning, maybe some strongman Cheetos in the morning. But it could be that, and it could be as simple as that. And people might not take that seriously. And in the past, I would say that, and people wouldn't really check in on me or say anything or try to help. And I thought that it was because that they didn't care. But they didn't have a clue. They didn't have an idea. On the flip side, if you ever have someone open up to you, speak to you, share that they might be going through something, understand that that person's probably sharing 5% or 10% of the actual truth, because it is difficult. It is shameful. It is hard to be able to say that your life might not be going internally the way that you'd like it to go, particularly if externally it's going really well. Particularly if you have a life that people would absolutely dream of, a situation that people would absolutely dream of. And somehow you just seem so unappreciative because some days are just terrible, and terrible to an extent that most people couldn't imagine. Now, I'll finish this off by just saying that if you are in a position where you need a help, where you need a hand, where you need a conversation, share it with the people closest to you and share the honest truth and share it with a professional who can actually help you out. Physical fitness and mental fitness go hand in hand. Sometimes it's as simple as getting yourself in better shape, going for a walk, changing your environment. Sometimes it's, of course, something much, much deeper. But the only way you're going to find this out is by speaking to someone who knows exactly what they're talking about. This is not a plug. There's no advertisements on the back end of this. This is me telling you this in hopes that it helps at least one person out there. As per usual, lift heavy, be kind. Thank you very much, guys, for subscribing to the channel, for watching, for interacting, and for really adding a huge part of my life in being able to speak to a lot of people and impact a lot of people. As per usual, lift heavy, be kind. Sorry for a bummer video today. We'll pick it back up tomorrow.